Trust Once Lost, Chapter 36, Raking Leaves. There was only one thing for it.
You've been searching for your cutie marks for a while now.
I started.
Trying to find out where you fit in.
There was silence for a moment as they all looked at me.
Why are you saying it like that?
Asked Sweetie Belle.
Like what?
I feigned ignorance, though I think they could see my blush.
Like you're singing a song? No reason.
I replied.
I just like singing.
The CMC formed a huddle and whispered as if I couldn't hear them, before breaking and turning back to me.
We've already tried getting our cutie marks and singing,
said Apple Bloom.
but we can still try that if you'd like. First, though, we have to make you an official cutie mark crusader. Sure, why not?
I smiled.
Nice hat, by the way,
said Apple Bloom. I blushed as I realized I was still wearing the nurse's hat. Oh well. After I was sworn in and caped, Sweetie Belle approached me.
So, how does that song go?
She asked. I sung the first lyric, and then Sweetie Belle joined in. I felt a surge of almost giddy excitement. A look of sudden realization crossed Scootaloo's face, and Scootaloo chimed in. This was really happening. The energy levels in the room seemed to rise. Accompanying music began to play, as if from nowhere. Then, we all sang in unison. Every pony in the room giggled after the next few lyrics, and the air felt warm and happy.
Green, your horn!
Apple Bloom pointed, and I noticed my horn was glowing. The entire room was saturated with magic. Then the fatigue hit me. The room suddenly felt colder as my horn winked out.
That was amazing!
Sweetie Belle explained.
What kind of spell was that? I don't know.
I said.
I just really wanted it to happen, and I'm gonna lay down now.
I closed my eyes and fell into a sort of semi-sleep state where my body was limp, but I could still hear the Crusaders talking. Also, I was pretty sure I was drooling.
Okay, that was weird, right?
Asked Scootaloo.
I thought it was fun.
Said Sweetie Belle.
Yeah, but I can't normally sing like that.
Said Apple Bloom.
And how did we know the words without Green telling us? She was casting some kind of spell.
Said Sweetie.
I could feel it. But Green doesn't know any magic.
Apple Bloom countered.
She can't even control it. It felt different to a normal spell.
Sweetie explained.
The only thing I felt similar to is when Green had that magic surge at school, but this felt happy. What, so Green can control our brains now?
Asked Scootaloo.
Oh, she wouldn't do that.
Said Apple Bloom.
Cutie Mark Crusaders, help!
My ears perked at the sound of the word help, and before I knew it, I was at the door. I looked over the small Earth Pony colt and saw no obvious injuries, though he looked frightened and out of breath.
What happened?
I asked.
I'm running for Students' Pony President, and I was hoping that...
He kept speaking, but my brain tuned him out. He was panicking about that?
Ugh, I need coffee.
I glanced at the other Crusaders to see they were handling this before I went back into the clubhouse to lie down. This time, I passed out completely.
Is Green angry with me?
Asked Pipsqueak.
Nah.
Said Apple Bloom.
She just gets tired sometimes. She looked annoyed, though.
Said Pipsqueak.
When I said I was running for Student Pony President. Maybe it reminded her of school.
Scootaloo shrugged.
She doesn't like school.
With the things Miss Cheerily had told the class about Green, Pip felt a pang of sympathy.
So, will you do it?
Asked Pip.
I'm running against Diamond Tiara. Oh, we can defeat Diamond and get our cutie marks and campaign managing.
Said Apple Bloom.
What do you say, Crusaders?
They exchanged knowing glances and drew in breath. But then Apple Bloom suddenly put her hooves out over her two friends' muzzles.
Quietly?
She insisted, glancing over at the sleeping filly in the corner.
Cutie Mark Crusader campaign managers.
They all whispered before clapping their hooves together.
Yay! Green?
Someone nudged me and I snapped awake.
I'm awake.
I said, while struggling to orient myself. Where was... Oh, right, the clubhouse. Apple Bloom, Sunrise? No, sunset. Or at least the beginnings of it. I slumped down a little when I realized there was nothing that required my attention.
Sorry.
Said Applebloom.
It's time to head back for dinner.
I yawned and got to my hooves, following Applebloom back to the farmhouse. I didn't have to go to school. My minder hadn't been sorted out yet, but I was promised that it would be some pony I knew. After breakfast, I went back up to my room to study. Since crusading was now mandatory, I decided to use that to my advantage. The best way to learn something is always to teach some pony else. So I dedicated the morning to memorizing the first aid manual. Running a first aid course for the CMC was a no-brainer. They'd be excited to see if they could get first aid cutie marks, and they'd learn useful skills. I'd never taught a first aid course for children before, but I was looking forward to it. I'd teach a little, and then have them run some simulations to keep them entertained. Children like to play pretend, right? I found myself humming along to the song in my head. Man, it was catchy.
Some pony's in a good mood,
Said Applejack.
I'm going to teach the Crusaders how to do first aid.
I said.
Well, that sounds mighty responsible of you, Sweet Pea.
Applejack ruffled my mane.
I made y'all some lunch if you don't mind delivering it.
I decided to wear the hat again, since it was topical, and my saddlebags because I wasn't about to carry the book in my teeth. Applejack had given me some sandwiches for the other Crusaders. They didn't shrink in the magic saddlebags, but they still fit just fine. Winona had decided to follow me. Applejack had told me not to worry if she did that. Winona could hear Applejack whistle for her from anywhere on the farm. I like to imagine she was a wolf dog, as large as a man. In reality, though, I was just small. Winona spent some time walking next to me, and the rest zipping around to smell different scents, though she always returned to my side eventually. My coordination wasn't quite up to walking on 3 legs while I pet her, so I occasionally stopped to do that. The clubhouse looked a bit ramshackle, but it was clear an adult had ensured that the structural elements were sound. Since we're equine, the ladder from tree houses I was familiar with was instead a ramp. I'd not touched hoof to the ramp before I froze.
So, do you 3 just sit around here plotting out different ways to try and get your cutie marks?
I recognized that voice. My withers prickled as I felt the signs of an impending panic attack.
I have to get away. I have to get out of here before I panic in front of every pony.
My useless, cowardly, traitorous body shook as I took a breath. Was this supposed to happen? I knew supposedly this was the episode where Diamond Tiara got redeemed, but I'd never had the stomach to watch before the first few minutes. This was too soon, too sudden. People don't just suddenly make a 180 like this. She was tricking them. I couldn't just leave, I realized. I had every pony's lunch with me. So I was pacing back and forth behind the clubhouse, trying to calm down. It wasn't fair, damn it. She just come here and stolen my friends from me. Wait. I didn't need friends, this was perfect. The perfect excuse to avoid being forced to hang out with them again. I could just tell Applejack that I was too anxious around Diamond. I'll just give them the food and then I'll leave. No need to talk to Diamond or even look at her. There weren't enough sandwiches for an extra pony, so that's a great excuse to leave and head back to the house. Winona watched me pace, taking on a slightly crouched posture. Her tail had stopped wagging. When I walked up the ramp, she stayed close by my side. The Crusaders' faces lit up when they saw me. Diamond looked unsure.
That's right.
I thought.
I can see right through your little act. Hi, girls.
I said. Winona was keeping herself between me and Diamond.
Don't worry,
Said Applebloom.
Diamond isn't gonna be mean to you. She wants to turn over a new leaf.
The silence hung in the air for a moment too long.
Sure.
I said.
Here, I brought lunch.
I put the sandwiches on the table and started towards the door.
Where are you going?
Asked Scootaloo. I winced at the question. I thought I could see Diamond's lip twitching in what could have been a smirk. I didn't trust myself to speak, but I couldn't leave without saying anything. My heart thudded in my chest. Diamonds continued to stare at me.
I have to get out. I don't want to be here. Look,
Said Diamond Tiara.
I...
Winona snapped her attention to Diamond Tiara, letting out a low warning growl as she started bumping me out of the room with her body.
I don't want to be here.
It felt like swallowing glass. I backed out the door before turning to move more quickly.
Green, wait!
Said Applebloom. I felt better once I'd broken into a gallop. Without really thinking about it, my hooves knew what pattern to follow. My heart still pounded, but now it was in time with my hoofbeats. The pain in my throat had eased. The constriction on my brain had lifted. They'd all figure out what they needed to do without my help. I wasn't supposed to be here anyway. Winona panted alongside me, and it wasn't long before I was out of breath. But by then, we'd put some distance between us and the clubhouse. I hadn't run back towards the house. I didn't want to worry Applejack with this. I felt ashamed. Why was I such a baby? Why did I always do this? My vision blurred as I struggled not to cry.
Stupid body, stupid eyes, stupid me for not having the willpower to overcome it.
Winona whined and forced her snout under my neck, forcing me to look up from the ground. I sighed.
Oh, good dog.
I cooed, petting the excitable dog.
What was all that about?
Asked Diamond.
You heard what Miss Shirley said.
Said Sweetie Belle.
Some ponies treated Green really badly, and now she gets really scared for no reason sometimes. I don't think this was for no reason.
Said Applebloom.
No offense, Diamond Tiara. I didn't do anything to her!
Tiara protested. Applebloom raised an eyebrow.
Alright, fine.
Tiara admitted.
But I did way worse to you three, and you're all fine. How was I supposed to know she was so sensitive?
Diamond, you're not supposed to bully any pony. Scootaloo rasped.
You didn't give a feather about how we felt. You even made Sweetie Belle cry. Hey!
Sweetie exclaimed.
You cried too when she kept making fun of you for not being able to fly.
Scootaloo's wings buzzed in annoyance as she turned on Sweetie Belle.
I don't even know why we're giving her a second chance. It's not a second chance anyway, it's like the bazillionth chance.
Scootaloo's face burned red.
It's not like she deserves to have any friends with how she treated every pony. Girls!
Applebloom made herself heard over the arguments, and the others turned to face her.
We can talk about this later. Right now, we should go and find Green to make sure she's okay. So, what am I supposed to do?
Asked Diamond.
You should probably stay here.
Said Applebloom.
Green might run off if she sees you again.
When I heard small hoofbeats coming towards me, I assumed it was the Crusaders, and I was a bit annoyed that they couldn't just leave me alone. Looking up, though, I saw it was Pipsqueak again.
Hi, Green,
said Pipsqueak.
I'm looking for the Cutie Mark Crusaders. Well,
I replied.
I'm a Cutie Mark Crusader, I guess. Anything I could help with? The school board refused my request for new playground equipment.
Pip explained hurriedly.
And I promised to have it fixed in my campaign for student pony president. Wait, you had the whole election in one day?
I questioned, and Pip nodded.
Well, alright then,
I said.
First off, try not to worry. This isn't something that needs to be solved today. We can have time to sort this out. I checked my piggy bank, but I don't have nearly enough.
Pip said sadly.
There's a couple of ways to go about this.
I said.
We could try to change their minds, or we could raise funds some other way. What was your justification for why we need new playground equipment? My what? Why do we need new playground equipment? The old playground equipment was broken in Princess Twilight's fight against Tyrek.
Pip explained.
Oh, well, if the equipment is unsafe, that would be a great way to force their hoof.
I said.
If they're not willing to see reason, we could leak the story to the press, or just encourage students to talk to their parents about it. With enough parents on our side, we could influence board decisions, or even eventually take over the school board with ponies aligned with our interests.
Pip nodded, but I wasn't sure how much he actually understood.
Alternatively, we can try to raise the money some other way. We could talk to Princess Twilight about it, since it was damaged in her fight with Tyrek. There could be some sort of disaster funding we could get from the crown. Or we could hold a bake sale, or some other type of fundraiser. There's no need for you to fund it personally.
I explained.
As president, it's your job to decide which direction we should pursue, but I'm happy to advise you. Diamond Tiara's mother spoiled Rich's head of the school board,
said Pip.
I don't think we'll be able to change their minds. So I guess maybe we could hold a bake sale.
My ears perked, and I felt a flash of anger, but a smile broke out on my face.
You know what? Scratch everything I just said. Pip, do you think you can get me the minutes from that school board meeting?
I asked, running my hoof down Winona's back.
I think I know a princess who would be very interested to know that Spoiled Rich is blocking the funded needed to keep us safe just to spite her daughter's political rival in a student election.
Oh boy, I think she's gonna have the wrath of Luna show up. Either that or someone else, but I think it's gonna be Luna. Anywho, let's get on to our clever donators. Top donators: Jessie Smith, Star 630, BadassWaffle, Only One Thing, Ceru, Orion, and IronSky. Metric 109, JockeTF, Darkseid, Rayden, Narwhals, Blackmoonheart, Pastel, Skies, also Rolan, Stu Hex, Sword Brother Motor, Omicron, Lyra, Wins Up 9052, Wilkos, Twinkie, Rysel, Shadow Moon, Luigi 88, Chancer Crust, Pixmonk 369, Bobcat, GG of Murder Princess, and many more awesome people. Thank you all so much for watching this video and live life to the fullest.